So I just realized that I ordered the wrong bike rack. Today I'm going to install this Swagman XC2 hitch mount bike rack onto the back of our Jeep Grand Cherokee to hold this larger mountain bike and this smaller folding bike. I'm going to talk about the installation and talk about the cons of this particular bike rack. This is in no way sponsored by Swagman or anyone else. I purchased this off of Amazon myself, so keep that in mind. The instructions say that you're going to need 3 wrenches, a 7/8, a 3/4, and a 19mm. Also a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. For this, I'm using my socket set. If you don't have a socket set, you should get one because they're really great to have. Now the instructions say to attach the upright bar assembly, that's what holds your bikes, into the hitch bar assembly first. But I decided to attach the hitch bar to my Jeep first because I thought it would be easier to then attach the upright assembly here. One end is not threaded, but then the other end is threaded, and that's what goes into your hitch receiver. And they have a special bolt here which has threads. What's strange is that they want you to tighten that hitch pin to 90 feet-pound or 90 foot-pound of torque, but they don't tell you that you might want to use a torque wrench for that. I don't have a torque wrench, so I'm just doing it as tight as seems reasonable. And even with that, there is a little bit of play here, so I may end up having to get a clamp that goes around to tighten this to keep it from rattling. And for the other side, they provide this cotter pin, which is just for additional security. This is a little confusing. So Swagman makes this Traveler XC2, but what I wanted was the Traveler XTC2 Tilt. They have like 6 different models or something, so pay attention when you're ordering yours. I'm going to keep installing this and see if I end up liking it, but one of the things I was really looking forward to is the ability to tilt the bikes away so that you can open up your hatch. So we'll see how this goes. All right, next we're going to install this upright assembly onto the hitch assembly, and they provide this pin that, if I can get it off, wow, holy smokes. All of the pins on here are secured by these cables so they won't disappear. Notice I have the label on the outside, lined up with the hole, bring that through. Good. Next we have these 2 short fat bolts that go into the bottom of the assembly, and this is why I think the tilt version would be better, because in order to open the hatch you would need to undo this cotter pin and also remove these 2 bolts so that you could pull off the entire rack, or you could unbolt it from the hitch assembly and pull out the entire thing that way. They're 1/2-inch bolts, but they require a 3/4-inch socket. So I'll put these on. And I don't know if you can see this, but the bolts actually don't thread all the way in, which is interesting. Next, we're going to pull out these pins and fold these down and then put the pin in the lower position. I just noticed this pin in the middle, which I'm going to pull out. It allows you to fold this down, and with this bar down, you're able to open the hatch and you're able to get in and access everything pretty well, but you just have to remember that this is here so you don't trip over it. Like that. All right, so I wasn't a complete idiot. We bought this version because it comes with this mount to attach it to an RV bumper. That's this big bracket here. You bolt that onto your the rear bumper of a trailer. So that's why we bought this, but we didn't realize that it doesn't tilt down. So if you're just RVing, it would probably be fine because you're not likely to need to tilt it down except maybe to access a storage hatch. Next, I'm going to install these hooks that hold the bikes down to the frame. There's a longer one, which I'm going to install on the back. And there's a ratcheting mechanism that hooks into these grooves along the side. That for now. And then the other one is for the outside bike. Next, I'll install the 4 wheel holders, which are identical, and you want to install these so that this hooked part is on the bottom. There's one on the inside and one on the outside. Okay, here's something the instructions left out because they assume that the wheel holders come pre-assembled this way, but there's actually a little tightening knob that you need to install. And what I'm going to do is the knob, and then this washer, and then from underneath, I'll do this bolt. Times 4. And I'm going to leave these loose until I know where the bikes actually end up. And finally, there are these 2 tiny set screws which go into a hole on the bottom at each end of this rail. All right, according to the instructions, this Swagman XC2 is complete. And now all I need to do is put the bikes on. I'm going to start with this folding bike first. First thing I'm going to do is adjust this rear wheel. I think that's probably a pretty good spot for it. These are not super easy to adjust. I know I have a taller bike going on the outside, so I'm actually going to switch these around now. I'm going to put the short hook on the inside. Now I'll try the bigger bike. And I'm going to flip it around so that the handlebars don't run into each other. The good thing is once these wheel holders are set, you should never have to move them again unless you change bikes. And I'm just also looking to make sure that the bike doesn't extend too far beyond the width of the vehicle itself. The handlebars of the folding bike run into the seat of my bike, so there are a couple options here. One is that I can drop down my seat a little bit. 2 is that because this is a folding bike, the handlebars actually fold down. So this seems to work pretty well. I'm going to get a bungee and secure the handlebars of the folding bike just so it's not swinging around and hitting the car. The next challenge is you can see the top crossbar of my mountain bike slants down quite a bit, but fortunately Swagman and other manufacturers make a crossbar which will look something like this. So that bar runs across and provides a more horizontal surface for the hook to hook onto, but I have to figure out how to tighten this bar. Maybe you rotate this a bunch of times and it tightens, or not. I'll try the other way. Okay, this truly has just an elastic cord. I don't know if you can see that. An elastic cord in there that would surely wear out over time, and there's no way to actually tighten this securely. It says that it adjusts from 19 inches to 26 inches, Swagman Deluxe bar adapter. I wonder what the normal bar adapter, the non-deluxe version, does. There's no mention of tightening it so that it actually stays in one place. I think the only way this works is if you already have something horizontal on the seat post to attach to, and I'm not going to trust this reflector bracket to hold this. For my purposes, this Swagman crossbar is absolutely useless. Going back. One thing I haven't done is secure the wheels with bungee cords so that the bikes truly stay in place. You probably also want to use your bike locks or your cable locks to secure the bike to the frame. I'm not even going to bother taking this for a test drive because I know I'm going to be sending this back. But I think the main issue with this is that it doesn't tilt down, so we don't have access or easy access to the back hatch. So that's my verdict. If this video was useful to you, please give it a like, share it with your friends who need a bike rack, and safe travels.